What's up, everybody? I'm the Middleman, and today I want to talk to you about one of the most hyped and searched stocks in the OTC market over the last month. Now, if you haven't seen my last video, I talk about a sub-penny stock that I'm currently up over 1,000% on. Also in that video, I hinted at a baby fintech company that I think is really going to blow up in 2021 and potentially over the years down the road. That company is HUMBL, ticker symbol Tsnp, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So before we get started, I want to say I'm not a financial advisor, and I've only been investing in the stock market for about 6 months. As you've probably heard in every other stock video you've ever watched, please do your own DD. I'm happy to answer any questions I can, but you are responsible for your investments. So now that I can't get sued, let's get into it. So a quick overview. HUMBL is basically a mobile payment service that's going to help with borderless digital transactions between economies and countries. So you'll be able to send, receive, exchange, and borrow money at up to an estimated 50% savings versus competitors. Now, there's a lot of information on HUMBL, so I'm going to break it down into a few main points. I'm going to talk about their last investor call and what we already know about HUMBL, who Block30 is and what they mean to HUMBL, what blockchain is, and my predictions for 2021. So HUMBL had a reverse merger with the SPAC Tsnp last month, and the point of this merger was to expedite the listing process so they can get onto the Nasdaq quicker. Now, they've expressed that they want to do this without a reverse split, which is huge for investors because that means shareholder value will not get diluted. So since the merger, HUMBL has had an investor call on December 9th, requested a ticker change to HUMBL. They already have trademarks in place for their products and services, and scheduled another investor call for January 22nd, 2021. Now, there's a lot of hype surrounding this upcoming investor call, and a lot of it has to do with what they talked about in the December 9th call. So guys, if you look at this screen here, you'll see what HUMBL CEO Brian Foote was highlighting as the main goals for 2021, and there are some big ones, like the beta launch, which is set to be released in Q1, HUMBL financial announcements, and especially the global launch into key zones. Now, all of these points on this page are catalysts that should increase the share price, so if HUMBL can deliver on this timeline, we could be seeing Dollarland before you know it. Now, the main concerns, obviously, is that everything is kind of hanging on the balance of potential news, investor calls, and speculation, which is why I think there's probably still some risk when investing. But if you know what HUMBL has behind the scenes, you'd probably be willing to take that risk. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about that sets HUMBL apart from its competitors is blockchain technology. So I'll get into the connection between HUMBL and blockchain a little later on, but first I wanted to talk a little bit about what it is. So blockchain is essentially a new platform of commerce that is an extremely safe and decentralized digital ledger of transactions. Now, decentralization is the main benefit of blockchain versus our current system. So say you buy something at Target, who has thousands of customers every single day. Well, they're not going to send each transaction one by one as people are purchasing. They're going to wait until the end of the day to send them all at once, which means if you go shopping on a Saturday, you're not likely to see that transaction clear until Monday or Tuesday. So centralization is costly and slow, and transactions that go through third parties can take several days and sometimes weeks to complete a transaction. Now, a modern day example of an entity that's decentralized is the internet, which is a peer-to-peer network where the information is controlled and verified by each individual who is interacting with it. So the same logic applies here to blockchain, which is helping to form a peer-to-peer network that then allows everybody using it to transact more efficiently. So next I want to talk about Block30. So before coming to HUMBL and until very recently, Brian Foote was the CEO of Block30, where they won Best North American Startup at the World Blockchain Summit in 2019. Now, they were a blockchain and mobile payments provider with a focus on emerging markets. Does that sound familiar? So there's been evidence to support that Block30 and HUMBL will become one entity, with Block30 mainly focusing on HUMBL's financial division, and recently there's been some movement. So while I was making this video over the past week, some really interesting stuff was released about Block30. Earlier this last week, their website went from full functional and viewable to this black page that just says Block30 Holding Co. on it. Then a couple days go by, and on January 13th, Block30 announced that on Twitter that they're going to be closing. So with the January 22nd investor call around the corner, I think that this was a plan to hint at an announcement that's going to be coming on that call. Now, if you look at the HUMBL financial white paper, you'll see sections that explicitly mention Block30 and their business model. On page 9, there's a section that says the Blocks team will be announcing a signed partnership between one of the world's most prominent indexing firms headquartered in the US. And on page 14, it also says that their index has outperformed all available unlevered mutual funds and ETFs through Q3 of 2020. To me, this is a no-brainer, and Block30 is a perfect fit for HUMBL's financial division. Now, Block30 and blockchain both tie into my third reason with why I think HUMBL is on the forefront of the next wave of tech, and that is Web 3.0. Now, I recommend going back to the December 9th investor call because Brian offers a really nice breakdown of what Web 1, Web 2, and what they believe Web 3 will be, but here's my little breakdown for this video. So Web 1 is the version of the internet from the 90s where it was read-only and you couldn't really interact with it. Web 2 is what we're currently in, where people are able to read, post, and interact like you can on social media. And for Web 3, they believe that it's the web of value and transactions, basically taking all of the good parts from Web 1 and 2 and streamlining it to making it faster and more efficient for consumers, merchants, and governments. So with Web 3, they want to strip the borders that make it difficult to send, receive, and pay money to become more unified, improve speeds, and reduce fees to create a more inclusive digital economy. So to do this, HUMBL has already partnered with Cyberbeat and BEX's bank, and they have specified regions that they will be targeting for 2021. So Cyberbeat will help HUMBL expand into the Asian Pacific and Pan-Indian vertical markets, and BEX's is for the United States and Latin America. So this is really exciting because the mobile payments market is estimated to grow by $12 trillion by 2027 at 30% CAGR. So this is a rapidly growing industry, and we will likely open up the door for more smaller companies like HUMBL to become much bigger players with the untapped markets that are out there. Now, the fourth thing that I wanted to bring up that really excites me and pretty much everyone else invested in HUMBL is the management team, and I'm not just talking Brian Foote. This team is extremely diverse, and you'll be hard-pressed to find another penny stock whose management team has this much experience. So they have professionals who have worked with companies like Visa, MoneyGram, Facebook, and even Microsoft, just to name a few. Additionally, HUMBL has virtually zero debt, which the team has been able to achieve by partially buying back nearly 1 billion shares. So this team is coming together to create something huge and disruptive in the mobile payments and financial tech industries, and they truly believe in the products that they're working on. Now, in terms of my predictions over the course of this year, my gut is saying that we'll see $1 sooner rather than later, and it is possible that we could hit that mark after the investor call on the 22nd. Now, people were saying that before the last investor call, and we didn't even break 40 cents, but I think this time we have a lot more to look forward to. So for those of you who are investing longer term, which is what I recommend, I think the PT is going to be a lot higher and potentially multiple dollar land by the end of 2021. I'm personally heavily invested in Tsnp, and I would not be making a video about it if I didn't think that it had real potential. Alright guys, I'm wrapping it up here. Go check out my last video if you haven't already, and once again, make sure you do your own research before investing if you do. I really appreciate any comments, criticisms, or tips that anyone has because I want to make all of my videos as concise and easy to understand as possible. Don't forget to like the video and share it with any other investors if you found anything in here helpful. I'm going to try to do more videos over the next few weeks and hopefully just get better each time, so subscribe if you want to see more content and grow this channel with me. Thanks for watching, I'll see you guys next time, and you stay classy, San Diego.